How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. I am your host, Richie, riding solo today. And what a glorious day to be a New York sports fan. New York Knicks, 39-point victory yesterday at the Mecca, Madison Square Garden, over the Philadelphia 76ers as the New York Knicks become the first team in combined 3 games is plus 90 for the New York Knicks. Just a terrific game all the way around, and really proud of the Knicks' efforts yesterday. You know, this is a team that pretty much since underachieving in games 2 and 3 of the Atlanta Hawks series has just been completely locked in, holding themselves up to a much bigger standard, and pretty much expecting to not only win, but to destroy opponents. And right now, the Knicks, at least in the early going of the second round, look like the best team that is playing. Now, of course, the Oklahoma City Thunder will have something to say about that. They have not lost a game in the playoffs yet. They get busy tonight. But how did we get there? Well, for one, the Philadelphia 76ers struggled in every way possible to play defense. They were unable to stop Jalen Brunson and had to resort to the hack-a-mitch tactics early in the first quarter just to kind of slow down the New York Knicks offense. And after a little bit of that, I think Coach Mike Brown seen enough as Mitch Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns both were struggling with foul trouble in the first half. He puts in Huck Porty to kind of eliminate the hack and Mitch situation. Jalen Brunson, 27 points in the first half. He had a quiet second half because he didn't have to have a huge second half. He finishes with 35, Karl Anthony Towns 17, OJ Anunoby 18. And just an all-around performance for the entire squad, as it was kind of cool to see Huck Porty get important minutes early in the game. Tyler Kolek got some serious action in the second half. Jose Alvarado contributed. Landry Shamet contributed. Everybody in the Knicks uniform contributed last night. And I've been a Knicks fan for a long time, people, going all the way back to 1992. But I must admit that this 3 games that I have seen consecutively may very well be the most dominant I've ever seen the Knicks perform. And that's going all the way back to the Patrick Ewing era and the Pat Riley era of the early 90s. Got a comment coming in. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But it's only 1 game. And I think Jalen Brunson said it best. He says the score's 0-0 in game 2. So this means nothing once it's over. And I think that's a good attitude to have, because when you lose a close game or when you win by a mammoth amount or anything in between, you have to come back to the next game because no 2 games are alike. And, you know, if Philadelphia is able to pick themselves off the canvas and win game 2, they steal home court advantage, and the Knicks are well aware of that. And speaking of home court advantage, seems like the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid particularly, are trying to do their thing to make sure that New York Knicks fans don't overpopulate Philadelphia as they did a couple of seasons ago. I don't know. When you're telling season ticket holders that you'll pay them, don't sell your tickets, I have money, it sounds like desperation. But right now, the way the Knicks are playing, I don't think it matters if it's in Madison Square Garden. I don't think it matters if it's in Philly. I don't think it matters if it's in an outside court. The Knicks are playing their hearts out right now at the right time. They're playing their best basketball right now at the right time. And while I commend Philadelphia for coming back from a 3-1 deficit and defeating the Boston Celtics, I don't care what the Atlantic Division standings say. I wholeheartedly believe the New York Knicks are better than the Boston Celtics. I believe the New York Knicks coming into this season were the best team in the Eastern Conference. But it took time. You know, you're replacing Tom Thibodeau with Mike Brown. Mike Brown is finding new ways to deploy this roster in better ways to keep them fresh at the end of the season. And you got multiple point guards that have contributed. You have a deeper bench than most Knicks teams have put out, because that was one of the knocks on Coach Tom Thibodeau, that he ran with too thin of a rotation, and ultimately it would hurt his team down the stretch. Mike Brown's not afraid to go deep to his bench, and Mike Brown's also not afraid to play the hot hand if the bench is outplaying some of the starters. I also want to give a shout out to Josh Hart. He was all over the glass. Just a good team win. Joel Embiid held to 14. Tyrese Maxey held to 13. Tyrese Maxey, no conversions from downtown, only 3 of 9 from the field. And just overall, a real crummy performance on every way possible for the Sixers. Early in the game, it looked like the Sixers were doing something. Kelly Oubre, I'll give him credit. I think he played well. But all in all, the Sixers just looked bad. Paul George was hitting his shots when they came to him. But the Knicks were to not be denied. Game 2 will be tomorrow. Got another game 1 out in the association. Minnesota Timberwolves, keep it going. In San Antonio, grab a very big road win, 2-point victory, 104-102. The real telltale of this game, Victor Wembanyama, 0 for 8 from downtown and only 11 points. He had a stinker of a game. And Anthony Edwards, they're easing him back in. I believe he played about 26 or 27 minutes his first game back from the injury. He dropped 18. Julius Randle had a good all-around game. Rudy Gobert, definitely a force. And I said it before, if you're going to beat the San Antonio Spurs, you've got to be physical with them. This is a team that's really good. This is a team that I actually think has the capabilities to win the West, but they're young. They don't have a lot of experience. And this could be one of those series where experience wins. I did pick the Spurs to win this series inside of 5 games, possibly 6. Of course, I made that prediction before knowing the status of Anthony Edwards. I will give Minnesota 2 games now. They did obviously win 1 yesterday. I didn't pick them to win yesterday. I still think the Spurs are the better team. I still think the Spurs are going to find a way to win. But we're going to find out because, a big part of the playoffs and how things play out is how teams respond to adversity. And the Spurs got a little bit right now. In the association tonight, we've got the defending world champion Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. I find this to be a very intriguing series, as King LeBron James did a phenomenal job of rallying his guys in round 1 and smelling blood in the water as Kevin Durant was not healthy for the majority of the last series. I don't think it would have mattered. Lakers are playing better. Lakers got to win one of these first 3. If Luka Doncic, let's say he returns by game 4, if the Lakers are only looking at a 2-1 deficit, I think this could be one of those epic series, especially if Luka comes back and can be the Luka of pre-injury. But I got to give credit to LeBron James. As the other side goes, SGA, possibly the best player in the world right now. And there's a reason why they had the best record in the NBA. There's a reason why they're the defending world champions. And the Oklahoma City Thunder can beat you in so many different ways. I'm taking the Thunder in 6, but I think this is going to be a damn good game tonight. I'll take the Thunder. I'm going to go 115-108. I think the Lakers will hang, but I think the Thunder will win. 115-108. Give me the Thunder for the W tonight. And in the Eastern Conference, we got the number 1 seeded Detroit Pistons taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I did pick Cleveland to win this series. However, I don't have them winning game 1. Give me the Detroit Pistons by a score of 104-96. I think this is going to be a hyper defensive series. The real question going into the series, well, there's a couple. Is Detroit for real after surviving the scare against the Orlando Magic? And can Donovan Mitchell change the narrative around him that he's incapable of going deep into the playoffs? I don't think it's fair that, to put that on one player. It takes a team, but there is some truth to the fact that he has come up small in some of the big moments. James Harden's another question. Is he going to be consistent as the series wears down into the higher leverage games? And, Detroit, like I said, they received a scare. The Orlando Magic have nothing to be ashamed of. But, I like the Pistons tonight. I want to talk about the Magic for a moment before I flip it to baseball. Jamal Mosley fired by the team pretty much immediately after they were eliminated by the Pistons a couple days ago. He was very gracious in his firing, very thankful for the opportunity to coach the Magic, very thankful for, in part, changing the culture as they've been a playoff team 3 consecutive years. I have mixed feelings about this firing. The Orlando Magic dealt with a ton of injuries this year because when the season started, and I'm talking way back in October, I predicted that the Magic were going to win the Eastern Conference Finals and they were going to be a top 4 team in the conference. As obviously, I didn't see Boston having the year they did, and Indiana did have the year I thought, because obviously Halliburton and Tatum missed most of the season. Halliburton missed all of it. I don't believe in firing a coach when you have a young roster, guys that are buying into him, and you had to deal with a lot of injuries. I'm not quite sure which way the Orlando Magic go for their next head coach, but I hope that there's a little more patience exhibited here because while even firing Tom Thibodeau was a mixed review in New York because he had them so close to the NBA Finals, sometimes a new voice is needed and necessary. So I'll say I have mixed feelings. I wish Coach Mosley well. And it's not that I'm an Orlando Magic fan. They are the local team. I do watch a decent portion of their games. I've been to the Kia Center a bit. It has more to do with I appreciate guys that keep it real and guys that put it all out there. And I think he did that for the Orlando Magic. But the Magic have a nice nucleus of talent. It's just a matter of can they harness it and can they get further than the first round? I think next year, hopefully for Magic fans, they'll be able to do that. Before I get out of here, this is a brief one today. I want to speak a little more in detail. I did a short on this yesterday on the setting in the Bronx, New York Yankees, emotional scene in the Bronx, defeating the Baltimore Orioles by a score of 12-1. I said it on the podcast earlier that morning with Idris that I felt that Aaron Judge was going to take one deep and have a signature home run. And one thing about Aaron Judge is that it seems like when he is needed most, you can bank on him. I know that there's a narrative going around this guy that he's not a playoff performer. I thought last year he had a hell of an October. Granted, it was a shorter sample size as the Yankees didn't get as far as they wanted to go. But this particular Yankee team might be the deepest and one of the best we've had in quite some time, as Cam Schlittler did not have his best yesterday, walking 3 men, giving up 7 hits, but he was gutsy. Bullpen stepped up in a big way, and 2 massive innings, a 3-run inning, a 5-run inning, and Paul Goldschmidt, I think it's a blessing for him to get some at-bats. You don't want it to be because Ben Rice is nursing some soreness in his hand. He'll be back soon enough. But the Yankees turned their attention to the Texas Rangers tonight. Jacob deGrom, potential future Hall of Famer, former New York Met great, now currently with the Texas Rangers. Yankees did get the best of him recently in Texas. He's going up against Elmer Rodriguez, making his 2nd career start. I'm not going to lie. A tall task for the Yankees today. And I would not be surprised if Texas finds a way to steal the first game of the series. But I don't feel all the way comfortable going against the Yankees considering how well they're going to play. I imagine the Yankees, how well they've been playing. I imagine the Yankees are going to go with ultra right-handed lineup, get as many righties in there as they could. And possibly even if Rice wasn't dinged up, I think he may have been benched tonight anyway. I think the smart money says give Ben Rice one more day off, and maybe he returns for the second game of this Texas series. But I do think the Yankees could be in danger of getting beaten game 1 of this series because Jacob deGrom is a really great pitcher, and it's not easy to beat him twice, especially in such a short amount of time. And Elmer Rodriguez is new, but you never know. I mean, not too many people on their bingo cards had Cam Schlittler making the impact he did last year. Tampa Bay Rays playing really good baseball. They are on the Yankees right now. They own the season series at the moment, 3-0, as I was in attendance to see the sweep. And thankfully, pretty much since then, after that Angels series, the Yankees have just elevated their play. Now, you know, sometimes timing and when you play teams also contributes to good stuff. As, you know, the Yankees have had the fortune of playing a lot of teams going through it. But the reality is if you look around the American League, it's the Rays and it's the Yankees. because the Tigers with the surgery coming up for Tariq Skubal, that's huge against them. Cleveland always seems to play above what they should be doing, and that's credit to a great manager. The Central's wide open, truly wide open. The West is wide open. You got an A's team that's hanging around. These Rangers that we play tonight are hanging around. And the American League runner-ups last year, Seattle Mariners, while they have been playing better lately, a bit of an underachievement out of the gates as they have pretty high expectations to make their first ever World Series. They were ever so close last year. Back to the American League East, the Toronto Blue Jays, definitely underachieving, but they're dealing with a world of injuries too. And Trey Savage just came back. He's their best pitcher. You got to nurture that and take time with it because you don't want to flame out one of the best young arms in all of baseball. Cam Schlittler, he worries me too with his velocity on certain pitches. I believe 8 over 100 miles an hour yesterday. The kid throws straight gas, but you worry about the longevity when guys are throwing that. But Cam, in so many different ways, from his demeanor to the way that he deals with men in scoring position, to just the way that he's not afraid to throw the high cheese and challenge hitters. He reminds me very much of a prime Garrett Cole. And if we get anything like 65 to 70% of the best of Garrett Cole, I think the New York Yankees are in a phenomenal position. Will Warren's pitched well. Ryan Weathers is kind of a mixed bag, but I think he's been more good than bad. And now Elmer Rodriguez, who pitched all right in his first start, didn't get the dub. Yankees lost the game. They didn't score a run. But he's pitching well. This is his second go-around against the Texas Rangers. So, he has a lot of immediate film to look at, see how he goes. But my final thoughts before I get out of here, New York Yankees, it was beautiful the way that they honored John Sterling yesterday. Very emotional scene at Yankee Stadium. One of my friends was actually at the ballpark yesterday with his little man, and he was able to record Aaron Judge's home run. And you could tell that, from the players to those in the booth, whether on TV or on the radio, to pretty much anyone involved with the New York Yankees. Yesterday, they were doing it all with a pretty heavy heart. The Yankees are very clannish, so to speak, in terms of their past and their future. They do a good job of embracing every era of their history. And, essentially with John Sterling's passing, the voice of the Yankees radio from 89 to 24, it did have that kind of feel like you did lose a family member. And I alluded to this yesterday on my show and on my shorts, that John Sterling was a part of everyday New York life if you are a Yankee fan. It's a huge loss. But he lived a really full life, a really great life. And he'll be sorely missed. But the Yankees couldn't ask for a better way to honor the man, couldn't ask for a better way to finish a series. That's a 4-game sweep. And I don't care if the Orioles are up and down. It's not easy to sweep anybody in a 3-game series, let alone a 4-game set. And, all you could do is play who's on your schedule. And I alluded to the mediocre struggles all around the American League. National League seems to be a little stronger at this juncture of the year. But I don't think that speaks on the kind of team that the New York Yankees or the Tampa Bay Rays are. Kevin Cash, I'm going to speak on him real quick before I get out. Definitely a guy that should often be considered for manager of the year, as the Rays have a very fixed budget. They can only do so much financially. But Kevin Cash, more times than not, always manages to get the absolute best out of his team. And when you consider the long pockets of a team like the New York Mets, where they're underachieving in a gross way, or even a team like the Boston Red Sox, whose fan base is frustrated with John Henry, nobody really knows what exactly they're trying to do, and then they fire a former World Series winning manager. Red Sox fans are frustrated. But until next time, I am Richie. If you haven't already, please make it a point, like and subscribe to the channel, the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. Check out Old Man Energy Volume 1, Volume 2, Big Bosco Productions. You can get that on Bandcamp, B-A-N-D Camp. Also check out the dirtiest rap album I ever made. That is also out there. Big Bosco Productions doing big things. I'm out for now. Have a great day, everyone. Announcements to come for our next show. And let's see how this NBA second round continues to go. I think we have the potential for some great series. Peace.